Okay, legislator in the back. There's all kinds of politicians around, a lot of BS, even though I'm the biggest BS in the whole province. But it's something, there's a lot of issues I talk about as a person with ADHD. And guess what? There's one issue that I never even know it existed. And I don't even know what they're all about. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't know either. So, we're gonna go here and see if we could put. How do you think my gadget? Isn't that that's nice. That's not CTV, dude. You know what I mean? See, I'm gonna do we both have the good side of us? How you doing, you?
Good.
Okay, let's see if we can get you there. Okay. So don't be nervous. This is for my 5 viewers.
I thought it was 6.
6, maybe 6. Maybe somebody didn't have a coffee and they don't know what they're doing, and they're watching. Your name is
Lalin.
And you are
Executive Director of the Chalmers Foundation.
That's a secret. Chalmers Foundation. And we are not going to speak ill about that's the Dr. Everett Hospital.
That's correct. Dr. Everett Chalmers Hospital.
And there's one thing we don't do. We don't be critical of our healthcare, because we're all going to end up in the same building. It don't matter who you are. And we talked in the parking lot when I was walking the dog, DOG, and we had a little chat. I didn't even know that you existed. And the money involved, I was shocked, and what you do. But that was before Corona. A lot of things has happened since we chatted. What does the foundation do?
It was established in 1983. So when it was created in 83, so that's 37 years ago, it was to raise funds to purchase equipment within the walls of the hospital. Now, the biggest thing is people think government funds all of healthcare. That is not true. There are some things that government does not pay for or cannot pay for. As you know, with what you do on a regular basis, budgets are not unlimited. So in healthcare, they have to make choices. Staffing, equipment, operations, so they do that. What we do is, in 1983, when it was created, is a bunch of folks in the community said, look, let's create a foundation, we'll raise money, because part of the healing process when you go to the hospital is you want to do something back when they do something good for you. So one of the ways to do that is to give a donation. So as the foundation, we receive the donations and manage it on behalf of the donors. So then it becomes an opportunity to work with the hospital and say, well, if government is not paying everything, what could we do as donor base to help you? One striking example, and a new board member came on 2 years ago, very striking example. For example, we buy replacement parts for wheelchairs. So wheelchairs fall in disrepair. Government does not have operational money for those spare parts. The wheelchair might still be in relatively good condition, but they can't buy the spare. We buy the spare parts so the wheelchair can last longer. So there's a series of things like that that we do to help the healthcare system.
Who's on the board? You mentioned board. How many members on the board?
So it's a board of 18.
18?
So Karen McGraw, the CEO of Horizon Health, is on our board. Because, let me clarify, we cannot buy anything inside the hospital or within Horizon without their approval. So we can't wake up tomorrow morning and say, oh, we think Chalmers Hospital needs a brand new MRI and we're going to raise $2 or $3 million. We cannot do that. So we need to work with Horizon to identify what their priorities are, because at the end of the day, it's one thing to buy the MRI, it's another thing to fund the operations for that machine, or to expand the space to hold it.
And they meet how many times?
Right now it's about 4 to 6 times a year.
Right now is about, they have the Zoom and the face.
Exactly.
It's not the same right now.
So we have Karen McGraw as ex officio. We have 2 physicians that we asked the doctors at the hospital to name 2 representatives to sit on our board. Because when we discuss medical equipment or medical items, it's nice to have that professional advice around the table. And then there's 15 members from the community.
How many foundation is there around New Brunswick?
I don't know the exact name, but all the major hospitals have them. So St. John has 2, Moncton has 2, Dumont and Moncton Hospital, Miramichi, Bathurst, Hamilton,
so they all
Edmundston, they all have one in different sizes.
And one strange part is, and where's your office located in the hospital?
It's on the 3rd floor.
Right beside?
Switchboard.
Right beside palliative care.
Yes. Yeah.
That must be pretty depressing to have an office there.
Well, let me tell, and that's the cycle of life, Charles. We're between palliative care and labor and delivery. We're between life and death.
Yeah.
That's the circle of life.
It's a circle. It can be more circle than life.
So
than that.
both on the 3rd floor. So you go into one wing to deliver babies, and at the end of your life, there's other families going through the other,
crying that they just lost a loved one.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
It's amazing, and that's where you understand the entire cycle. And to go back to the beginning, Charles, about not knowing we exist and so on, healthcare, the hospital, if you don't need it, you don't even know it's there.
Oh, you only get involved in issues if it affects you.
If it affects you. And the one thing that we found out with the coronavirus, and even before that, I was aware.
Oh, did you find one thing about the coronavirus? Please tell me.
No, one thing we found is...
We found out a lot of things about the coronavirus. I'm just being sarcastic.
What we find is the hospital is always there. Always there. 24 hours a day. Doesn't matter when you need it. It is there. Is it 100% perfect? Maybe not. But I don't think there's a system anywhere that's 100% perfect.
No.
There's always room for improvement, and that's what the Horizon and hospital leadership, and with our input, because the foundation, with bringing money to the table, we also work with Horizon and say, our donors would like to work on these particular issues. Is there a way we can work together? So we sometimes bring issues from the community to their attention, and we can work on it.
So after this coronavirus, if it's ever over, there's going to be more money now in healthcare. The taxpayers are going to demand more money. There won't be no cutbacks in Sussex, or the hospital in Sussex, or up north, or Sackville. I mean, you talk about bad timing. And now, I think, will the government put more money in healthcare after all this?
It's hard to say. I mean, current premier is not throwing money out the door and out the window. No. So that's his current mantra. Prudent management.
Former finance minister.
Yes, but we know what he stands for. That's what he wants to do. So he's not going to throw money just for the sake of throwing money. So we're aware of that. One thing that's interesting is with the hospital shutdown during coronavirus, there was limited access to the emergency room.
We did find a few things there, huh? Go ahead.
Well,
I have a broken nail. I gotta go in the emergency.
So then it begs the question, what is the real emergency? And the emergency room is set up in a triage level, so levels 1 to 5, 5 being the worst. So that's part of the process. You come in. If you're triaged lower, it might take longer. If you're triaged 5, it goes faster. For example, a heart attack. And it is busy back there. If you come in to the emergency and you're sitting in the waiting room, you have no idea what's going on behind.
There happens to be a back door there. That's people coming in.
The ambulance bay. And I'll tell you, Charles, I was down there last November to visit a close relative in the ER. At about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 ambulances came in the space of 20 minutes. Yeah. So if you're back in the waiting room and you're waiting to see, you've got no idea. No. That's over and above everybody that's already there.
Yeah, and some people say, okay, just because the way I'm dressed or my culture or whatever, and no, it has nothing to do with it. Because our healthcare workers are heroes. They're unsung heroes. And myself, I broke my collarbone last spring, being an idiot. Ride a bicycle and the camera and the dog. Nah, that don't make, that's the perfect start.
Yeah.
So being an idiot, broke my collarbone, an hour and a half. And then maybe it's because they didn't want to pay me as blogger and in the back looking around, but I was in and out fast. And you have to understand these registered nurses, I mean, different mentality, and they people, it's not everybody that says good morning, and they have to deal with that. They're unsung heroes in palliative care. The loved ones crying and leaving, and oh my God. And the foundation, do you offer help like psychologists or somebody, or that will be the union?
That's part of the hospital services and government services, because part of, funny you should mention that. Within Horizon, they have the addictions and mental health team that is not inside the hospital, but it's in the community. That's a team of 300.
300.
Because they do all of the regions, so up to Woodstock, Higher, Oromocto, Minto, McAdam. So it's a wide catchment area, but it's a team of 300 for addictions and mental health. That is a lot of people.
Yeah, that employs a lot of people. That's worse than a prison when they're down the States. When they got a prison, it employs everybody. A lot of people be employed there.
Well, they have what's called a FAC team. So when there's issues, they've got the ability to go in fast, mobile teams of 2 or 3, whatever is needed, to work with the patients in need.
You guys focus on equipment, or like one thing that's a problem with the hospital that I see is when I was in the hospital, I took seizures from my epilepsy. Take your medication.
I do. I'm epileptic too, Sean.
Are you epileptic too? There's nothing wrong with that. Just take our medication.
I admit it.
Same here.
Nothing.
I had the scar right here. I was there and living alone, which I love living alone. But you take a seizure and you're alone. Yep. It could be pretty. Wake up with a black eye. Yep. And my doctor, take your medication. But I have ADHD also. Oh, what a combination, man. Anyway, so you're in the bed, you're on social assistant. Next thing you know, ADHD, no smartphone, social assistant, start going around and driving the nurse crazy. The foundation say, hey, excuse me, maybe you want a television in your bed. Would they be something?
Possibly. One thing this is 3 years now that I've been at the foundation. So one thing that we're finding out more and more, we like to talk to the nurses, the managers, the physicians, to get an idea of what's going on in the healthcare system. So when we talk to donors or our board members, we can share information. So for example, a big thing that's happening is called patient comfort items, like that. So one of them could be you're admitted on, by ambulance, emergency. Do you have a toothbrush? Do you have a comb? Toothpaste?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Well, there's an opportunity for us maybe to step in and have a kit ready so that you or your family have something, because it's basic to brush your teeth, but when you're under emergency and duress, it's important. You still want to feel good. So that is an example. People traveling outside the area to come to the regional hospital with premature babies or emergency situations, same thing. Gas money. Assistance with, if you have an insurance system for your health care, for medication, well, the copay, you may not have the $10 or the $8.
He's a squirrel.
Or the $15 for that copay medication. Our donors will pay some of that. But we have an agreement with the hospital that it's the social workers who determine that.
How much did you raise last year?
1.6 or 1.7 million.
So $1.7 million in the Fredericton area, and you just go to a business and say hello?
No, it's so wide you wouldn't believe. Fundraising. So since we started in 1983, we've raised $37 million. So about $1 million a year. 37 years, $37 million. So there's a number of things. One of the most popular is what's called third-party events. So you're part of an organization, you're part of a group, and you say, we want to do something. We'd like to raise money for the hospital. We'd like to raise it for palliative, we'd like to raise it for pediatrics, cardiac, oncology, doesn't matter. you call the foundation and say, we'd like to raise money, we have a motorcycle run, we want to do a pizza party, that raises a lot of money. Because we're not the ones doing it, but we know about it, and they're doing it on our behalf. Yeah.
Okay, now, but excuse me, Jill, how's your, any nails left? How's your nerves?
Oh, me nails are great. Yeah.
The nerves are good, okay. How are we going to have fundraiser and collect after this, during the coronavirus? It's not going to be $1.7 million, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, the good thing about us is we're a healthcare charity. We are on the front lines. So we've had people and organizations step up and say, we want to support the nurses, we want to support healthcare that we did not have before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that is because, for example, we had donors calling us and say, we love the nurses, we love the doctors, we love what they're doing, what can we do for them? Well, the hospital's on lockdown.
Yeah.
So us as a foundation, what we wanted to do is coffee, food. So we started doing that. We brought a lot of McDonald's coffee. McDonald's was giving us coffee.
What's the best coffee, Tim or McDonald's?
Oh, I love love McDonald's.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, love the McDonald's
They're
coffee.
Good. Go ahead. Sorry, we got distracted.
The local franchisers are amazing.
Really?
Oh yeah, big supporters. So donors started calling us. So at one point we were bringing coffee or food was being delivered by other individuals, but because of the spread of the virus, the hospital said no, we're shutting down everything.
Yeah.
Because boxes, you didn't know. So inside the hospital, the hospital auxiliary has a coffee shop.
Yes.
But their sales went down.
Gus is there.
Yes.
Yes. Good old Gus. Good old
Gus
smiling
Bazooka.
Gus. Yes. Yeah. If you're not insulted by Gus, you are nothing. Go ahead.
A sharp dude.
Oh yeah, very sharp.
We miss him, by the way. He hasn't been, because he's a volunteer, he hasn't been in. So the auxiliary...
Does Johnny go there also sometime? His brother?
Not as much.
Okay, go ahead.
So the coffee shop was losing business. We had donors wanting to do something for staff. So we came up with something simple. We printed our business cards as a food voucher, a value of $5, and we distributed to staff. Housekeeping, nurses, admin support staff throughout the hospital.
Really?
Probably 2,000 of those.
Wow.
Because we had donors calling and saying, I want to do something, so we gave them options. We bought iPads for patients who were isolated.
Those ADHD people get them iPad?
Well, I don't know if they ADHD, but they were isolated patients because of the shutdown. They couldn't communicate with their families. So we bought iPads. That was a hospital request. We said, sure. Donors provided that. But then the food vouchers became popular. We had a church in town and they said, our congregation wants to do something. We talked, send us $1,000. Well, that's 200 vouchers. A couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you saw this, Monsieur Edmond Martin, originally from Grand Falls, he's a World War II veteran, 97 years old, just presented with France's highest military honor, La Légion d'honneur. He calls us up and says, I would like to donate to that food voucher program. We were very fortunate. The base commander of Gagetown came up and we had a big ceremony in front of the hospital. He gave us a donation for that food voucher program. Because, like you said, he realized the frontline workers are, doing incredible work day in and day out. They just wanted to do something. And let me tell you what, the housekeeping staff, the hospital could not function, for example, without housekeeping staff. Scrub down, keeping it clean.
As long as you don't have the CBC inside those washrooms and going under nosy reporting.
Well,
I had to sit there by 8. I just got a flashback. That's why they come to me sometimes when I got the camera. I say, hey, don't worry about me. Worry about the CBC. Don't worry. I won't condemn the hospital. No. The stuff is very clean. Yeah. The staff is amazing. How we're all going to end up in the same place. And like I said, I think I told you this when I took the seizures and I was in the back. There was a person that was dying, moved, and they had the electric shock. And one thing I'll never forget, you mentioned the circle of life, is a stretcher coming, the ambulance, and an old guy, it was all dark, looking around, and there was his wife in the back crying, and the 3 kids following. The circle of life, you know. Then I seen a grandmother in the corner with just going there. The granddaughter was reading a book, and you see a drug addict with a pipe right down his throat, and just and then you see the high snobs, the poor,
you're at the same level.
The we're all, it's not gonna, maybe we're not gonna say, oh, you got money, you go in that section. No. Maybe one day, sadly, I hope it doesn't happen, but the foundation do not discriminate.
No.
Everybody is.
So what we do is we receive the funds from the community, and our board is, and my role with the board is to make sure that money is well spent. So that if you give us $100, there's no fraud, there's no money missing. The board and me, we're there to make sure the money is well managed, in our investment portfolio, in the stock market. We don't gamble anything. It's well managed.
Could this be one good thing about Corona, that it brought people really together?
I think it shook everybody, like every foundation. So the normal relationships, the close contact, the handshakes, there's a lot of things that are going to change. The big events that we used to have, what is that going to look like? We don't have the answer yet.
I never, for the record, I never shake hands. Never have shook hands the last 5 years. It's very scary.
Yep.
How can a person wants to, my 6, maybe 7 viewers that's still watching this.
Up to 8 now.
Up to 8. You sure they're about 20 minutes, they're still here? My God, they need a life. No, this is a very, very important issue that I didn't know. And what's your email?
So,
if somebody wants to help.
Chalmers.foundation@horizonnb.ca. But the best way is go to our website, chalmersfoundation.com or chalmersfoundation.ca. You'll find our contact information, you'll find the names of our board members, our telephone numbers, email addresses, all is there. I wanted to tell you another piece. So we started as a foundation in '83 just to buy equipment. In the last couple of years, we're making a shift from continuing to do that, but we want to get more involved in the community health initiatives. We don't know yet what it's going to look like, but we want to use our financial power, our brain power around the table to say, what can we do in the community maybe that prevents you from coming to the hospital, but it's still health related.
Can you say crystal meth?
We don't know yet. A
lot of drugs. That's the community. A lot of drug problems.
There's mental health. There's obesity. Weight issues, nutrition.
Who are you calling obese? What's wrong with that? It's this. This is the problem right there.
It's sugar. It's refined. Refined foods, processed foods. The list goes on and on. But what can we do as an organization to effect change? So Horizon and government of New Brunswick Health Department have their hands full managing what they currently have. What we would do is with our 15 to 18 members around the table, plus our staff, is okay, we can put money on the table, maybe bring in some more partners. What can we do together to make change? So we're having those discussions.
It's very good. Did I miss anything?
You covered it all. I think we just hit 9.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Merci, Charles.